Hey there, this is Pam Perry. Get out there, get known. And we have a radio legend that is with us, Nikki Thomas, coming from the Bay Area. She has been a career radio person for a long time, but we're going to talk about a pivot and what she's doing now as a digital content creator and how you can do the same thing. Maybe you're at a point where you want to try something new and want to do something different, don't really know how to do it. Well, Nikki will show you how. Right after this, we're going to bring up Nikki Thomas.
Welcome to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast. Join Pam Perry, veteran PR strategist, Emmy award-winning producer and publisher of Speakers Magazine, who will show you how to crack the code in getting out there to get known. Each week, she either interviews her media friends, PR colleagues, or she just goes solo, offering you strategies on publicity, publishing, and platform building. So listen up to hear how to get booked on media places and on superstar stages. Now, here's your host, Pam Perry.
Hey there, Nikki. How are you? Oh, you look good. It look good. So I'm so glad we get this internet to working. Listen, we can do all the things, streaming and all this kind of stuff, digital content creators, but you do need the internet. I wish I had been at the internet.
Yes, we are at the mercy of the internets right now.
That is
Okay.
good. So I just love LinkedIn. That's how we met. And you have
Mhm.
such a good energy. And I love the fact that you talk about being north of 50. I'm north of 60.
Ooh.
So we are just kind of getting started in this stuff. We have a passion. And I think
Mhm.
if you're passionate about something, it's ageless and you can do it forever because
Yeah.
you just have a passion about it. So let's start at the beginning. How did you get into radio and how long were you there?
Well, this is one of my favorite stories to tell. I swear I just told it to somebody earlier. The one who planted the seed in me was my great grandmother.
Really?
Literally. She lived until I was 17 and she told me, she said, my baby's going to be on the radio and on the TV. That's what she
What?
told me. So she
And what
planted
year
that.
was she born? What year was she born?
She
Your
was
great
born in
grandmother.
1914. And she died in
Wow.
1987 when I was 17. Do the
Wow.
quick math.
Wow.
But she planted that seed, and what do you know? She was still working behind the veil because high school. I'm just a nerd. I'm a square. I'm a nerd. I'm shy. I'm introverted. Like for real, for
Really?
real. When I was in high school, you know how you have electives, and an elective just popped up on my schedule. I didn't put it there. I didn't pick it. It was speech and debate.
Perfect
So,
for an introvert.
right. So I learned how to speak, be in front of folks. And then it happened again in college. An elective popped up on my schedule. I didn't put it there. It was radio. So, radio,
You did not put these
I
things on
didn't
there.
do it. I believe she did it. I believe
That
she
was
did it.
great grandma right there. I'm
Yeah.
real like
Yeah.
radio. She's like, I'm going to. And so one of the things, Kimberly Bailey, thank you so much. She said Nikki's mic is low, so we got to hear all this story. So if you could kind of like do the
Okay. Well, hold
whatever
on.
they,
Let's do a test here. Hold on.
how's that,
Microphone.
Kimberly?
1 2 1 2. Is that better?
I love that. Yes, there we go. That's
Okay.
that
Let
radio
me let
voice.
me let me adjust a little bit because the closer I get to the camera, the bigger my head looks. So I was trying to work around
Well, I can move
having
mine
mountain
too if that help. Okay.
having mountain lion head
I
on the
love it.
live stream here. So where did I stop? So yeah, so I believe she had done these things and prayed me into some things.
Mhm.
So our final project for radio class was an air check or a demo tape. And one of my classmates said, you really have a nice voice. You should try, like literally, you should try and see if you could get into radio. And I'm like, okay, whatever, one day maybe. And my professor overheard this. He said, no, for real. I'm going to call the radio station and send you over there. And that's what happened. I went over there one day and they gave me a job. I was a junior in college at Xavier University. And I
I
was
love,
on the radio,
that's why I
and
love
literally
AC.
that's all I did. I went to school, went to work, went to sleep. That's it.
Oh my
And
goodness.
that was my life, my last 2 years of school. And I just kept going. That's
Wow.
it.
I love HBCUs. That is one of the things that they will push you. They will give you
Mm-hmm.
that confidence.
Yeah.
They see things in you. They're going to take a personal interest
Mm-hmm.
because you're like their kids. Okay, this you are family. Okay, you don't get
That's a
that.
great way to describe it. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, yeah. Your classmates say you are to, and then your professor's like, no, you are going to, and then fast forward 30 years later, you're at one of the top stations in the Bay Area. Now, how because they say in broadcasting, when you are in broadcasting, it's kind of like the entertainment field, it's a glamour field. Everybody wants to get in it, and so
Mm-hmm.
they always say you got to start small. You got to go to a small little market. You got to work up. You got to do all the grunt work and all this stuff. How was your career path?
Hmm. That we could go down the rabbit hole about the way we look at these things. But for me, it was really a pathway into black radio. I was at the Heritage Station in New Orleans, WYLD, then
Mhm.
went to WQUE, and then I got a chance to be on the radio in the morning in Buffalo, New York. I was there for 4.5 years.
Woo, Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, you just kind of feel your way through it.
Mhm.
This is it's like, okay, I'm an opportunity to be on a morning show. Let me say yes to this. I
And
was up to my knee, yeah,
what
up to
was
my knees
the
in snow. I'm about to say,
I
yeah.
know, I know. That was like when you said Buffalo, I was like, okay. What
Yes,
was
ma'am.
the go from New Orleans to Buffalo? What was the format? Was it R&B?
It
Was
was
it
it
pop?
was the same. I've been in urban AC
Mhm.
the whole career, pretty
Okay.
much.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm a community person.
Okay.
I like to stay plugged into the community and speak from an authentic place.
Mhm.
So, I had that chance to get my feet wet on a morning show, and then by the time this opportunity popped up at KBLX in the Bay Area, I was ready. And to tell you a quick story about how I got to KBLX in the Bay Area, my good friend Shay Moore, she's on the radio in Kansas City right now doing her own morning show. She's great. She said there's an opportunity in San Francisco that's perfect for you.
Hmm.
So, I'll put this message out there. Sometimes you don't have to have anything figured out. I certainly didn't. I
Mhm.
had a praying grandmother.
Yep.
I had
And
good
great grandmother.
friends. Your network will shape you very nicely.
You call them destiny pushers. Yeah.
Well, hallelujah. And I got my little package together and sent it, and I found myself in San Francisco on the radio with the great Kevin Brown. And it led to 20 years on the radio in the Bay, because when I got here, I was like, oh, this is it. This is home.
For
And I
Buffalo, definitely there's no snow.
oh, it was just like Disneyland or something. It was so
Yeah.
beautiful. So I knew this was the place for me. So I pretty much have been here ever since.
Wow. And are you
Mhm.
originally from the Bay Area, or where you originally from? New Orleans?
Originally from New Orleans. So
Okay.
I was, went to Xavier in my hometown,
Yeah.
and it all happened right there.
Ah, that is so good. So that is inspiring for people who are trying to break into the field. You are uh, listen to your network, have people who
Mhm.
are around you who are your destiny pushers. And then, even though you may be an introvert, you just have a gift. She had a gift with her voice. And that's the thing.
Mhm.
We don't sit on our gifts. We have to share them. And so over those 20 years, who have you interviewed, or what were some of the, I guess you say, the highlight
Ooh.
reels of that format, because it was urban AC, which is urban adult contemporary. So
Mhm.
you had
Mhm.
some interviews and things that you did over the years. So what were some of the people that you ran into, or
Ooh. This is why I love being on this side of the mic, because the stories are so good. Um, I would say my favorites: Wendy Williams.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I had
That's
the
that's
abs.
kind of that's kind of tough to really to interview Wendy Williams, right? Like, because she's
Not
like,
really, not really.
she was good.
She,
Okay, she didn't
she
go in
was
like,
really good. No, she did on some other folks. We had like kind of a live audience, and she kind of went on a few people, but that's expected.
right.
She's a astrologically, she's a Cancer. she's all emotions.
Yeah.
So I like to feel people out in such a way when I talk to them. So she was a very good interview because she's not what you think she is.
Mhm. She's
That
more
she's not what you
empathetic,
so I got a chance to ask her some questions. You know what I mean? To kind of,
break
just
you
kind of get
down.
into the emotions of things. I had the honor and pleasure of interviewing the legendary Dwayne Wiggins of Tony many times. So he's my absolute favorite. Somebody asked me this in my comments. He's Oakland. Um, and of course he, certainly had relationships with everybody at the station as far as staying plugged into the community.
Mhm.
So he was always just so much fun. Um, who's another one? Tyler Perry,
Mhm.
Jamie
Mhm.
Foxx,
Mhm.
Reverend Jesse Jackson,
Oh, he's one of my
Bill and
favorite.
Hillary Clinton. That was one like over the phone. There are a lot of really, really,
Yeah.
really good ones.
So
Really
the
good
ones
ones.
that you like seem to be the ones that are kinda like the change makers, people who are really making a difference in their community. So let's talk about your, I guess you would say your legacy that you have left, that you MC a lot of events, you do a lot of fundraisers, you do things in the
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you have probably pet projects, and so tell us about some of your favorite ones that you're working with now, and then one that probably nabbed you and said, "Hey, you're gonna do this," that you're working
Well,
with now.
I like to build like an ecosystem, a circle, and the stories about radio are a great example about how, that ecosystem and that network, it kind of fuels itself. So what
Mhm,
I do is I help folks who are creating or are building maybe fundraisers, local community organizations. They'd be
mhm,
like, "Hey, Nikki, we want you to host our event." I'll be like, "Yeah, okay." So when I host an event, I build a package of content for them. And, we do things like this. We talk, we go live, or either I record an interview. So, it helps with content, with visibility. So I just like to tie everything together.
mhm.
And I started doing this when I was still at KBLX on the radio and the pandemic happened. So this is probably like your list of questions here. I'm probably like,
Mhm,
all of your questions already, but that's the thing that caused the pivot for me
mhm,
because this was, I love to produce, I love to talk, I love to be in front of folks. I love the interconnectedness of being live.
yeah,
So
yeah,
a lot of advertisers wanted this because the drive time was affected because people weren't driving. We were locked down. So I got a
mhm,
chance to show off all my skills, and halfway through that I was like, wait a minute, I can do this.
and you like
Yeah,
doing it, it's the
as a
passion for
as
it.
a thing. Yeah. So I really love, you and I connecting like this because there's so many great tools nowadays that allow you to produce your own stuff.
Yes, yeah,
You can have your own talk show.
and that's where Nikki Thomas TV. That's where your YouTube channel, or
Well,
that's your
yeah.
what?
So it's Nikki Thomas TV on YouTube. I plugged in, so we're live on my YouTube too. I love Streamyard. Streamyard is a great tool for
I
folks.
love it, yes.
Yeah, so I've been using StreamYard for a really long time. And also TV is my website.
Okay.
So yeah,
They
so
can
I
find
love,
all the things. Yes,
they
yes.
can find the things there. I'm always building. I like to tinker on the dang thing. You know how some people have their cars out in the on the driveway and they're always tinkering. I'm always tinkering on my website and on my YouTube
Mhm.
channel. But
And that's something, just so that you know, you're north of 50. And then, it's you're Gen X. I'm a baby
yes.
boomer. So, but a lot of Gen Xers and baby boomers are like afraid of the internet, like afraid
Mm,
of doing things. I had one baby boomer friend say to me, says, AI is like cheating. I don't use it. I'm like, girl, please. So you don't use Google either? You gonna still go to get an encyclopedia? Like, this is what the tools are for.
yeah,
Yeah.
we want to cheat sheet a little bit, don't we?
I
you
know.
know,
Like, why spend
um,
4 hours when you can do 4 minutes? Like, really? Come on now. Yeah.
right. But see, and before we even get into what you call AI, the tools do all the work. I think, sometimes some folks, our generation and beyond, they might look and say, well, how'd you get these things to scroll across the bottom. That's one button. This is the way I like to
Exactly.
describe it. It's like, hey, you see this? This is
Yeah.
you see your phone, you do this all day. It's one finger.
Mhm.
It's That's all you have to do is know where to click. So if
Mhm.
you have a vision in your head of how you want it to look, the tools, you do not have to code. I think people confuse the tech tools with coding. They think they're going to have to code something or create it from scratch. No, honey. All you have to do is show up. So
Yeah.
I love
And
to teach
and you
specifically.
will not break anything. That's the thing.
No,
People
no,
think I'm gonna
nothing's going to
break it.
happen. Nothing's going to happen.
I'm not
That's a
gonna blow
radio
it up.
trick. You mess up, nothing's going to happen.
Right.
Nothing.
It won't blow up. It's gonna be
Mm-mm.
fine. And
Mm-mm.
and listen, I being a publicist for many, many years and then
Mm-hmm.
having to do things the old school way, and then all of a sudden the internet happened and then social media. And so my friends, my colleagues were like, "You're on this social media, you're on this." And I said, "Well, this is where the people are. We're trying to amplify messages. We have to use it." And literally a lot of them never got engaged in it. And now when you go to apply for a job as a publicist, digital content is part of what you do. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just writing press releases and sending them out and calling the media. It is really that's part of the job description because that
Mm.
amplifies the message. So
Right.
when you're doing all of the TikToks or if you're doing reels, any of that kind of stuff, it is like you said, it's from the phone. I don't have to have been a producer. I don't gotta be
No.
Steven Spielberg. I can
Mm-mm.
just have to know the work phone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I found a tool that pretty much makes those little fancy videos for you. Just, you just click off the video or the picture you want to use and it'll put it all together and it looks all fancy. It literally is one button most of the time.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and we're giving you the gems. So StreamYard is one thing that you can use to live stream or record or create a podcast or
Mhm.
really a teaching module. If you have any kind of business, if what you're doing is creating your own promotion. So
Mhm.
we use these tools to promote our businesses. So
Mhm.
it's not we're just not on here dancing for your likes and stuff. We're not doing that. We're
Right.
out here promoting ourselves. When
Yes.
when when I'm on live or when I have I did something called Soul Sunday. I used to go live every Sunday and do a
Okay.
talk and a quick meditation. It was just kind of little, a
Sounds like
little
a yoga, do
a
a little.
little bit. We did a little bit
Mhm.
of yoga.
Mhm.
It was just kind of a spiritual pep talk. I did that for
Okay.
many years, probably starting in 2016 or so.
Oh, okay.
And it just became part of the package, the Nikki package. Um, because
I have
somebody needs it. Somebody wants it.
yes.
Is your story and the thing that you're offering is some activation point for somebody else. You're
Mhm.
giving them that permission that they've been looking for to, even if it's not a tangible thing. It doesn't have to be, life insurance or this or that. It could be motivation. It
Mhm.
could be, this light bulb moment that says, you know what? I think I can do this. And that's the
Mhm.
most powerful thing all the time.
You have a twin on the, East Coast. Her name is Karen Taylor Bass, and
Really?
she is, a publicist friend of mine who turned into, like, a yoga instructor. She's got all the master certifications and that sort of thing, but she's doing radio on
Mm-hmm.
WRD, which is a Black radio station,
Okay.
and she streams it every Monday from 6 to 7. I think it's called Soulful
Love
Sunrise,
it. That's a good
and
word.
yes,
Soulful.
Soulful Sunrise, and
Uh oh. All right. I think I lost you. I don't know if you guys can still see me or hear me or if I'm frozen. Okay, I can't hear. I can't see. Uh-oh. Are we still live? Are we still live? Mm, I think we're having technical difficulties, family. Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like it's just me for a moment. Get out there and get known. Hopefully, Dr. Pam will be back in a moment. You know, this reminds me of my radio days when something happens and all of a sudden it's you on the radio by yourself. It's all good though. Now, where were we? I was sharing the story about how we have all these great tools nowadays to use and create. All right, so what we're going to do, I think I'm going to see if I can refresh and get Dr. Pam back. Wowzer. Well, this has never happened before. Ready, set, go, speak.com. Nikki Thomas TV. That is my YouTube. That is my website. All right, hold on one second, family.
Okay, it doesn't. We are back. I
Okay, we're back. Okay, this
I'm gonna get
happens
you
every day.
get you over to the left, Nikki Thomas TV. So we are here with our guest, Nikki Thomas.
Mm,
We got kicked out because of the internet, but we are back. And one of the things about any media is you don't get ruffled about any technical
that's
glitches.
it.
That's
That's
it's
it.
just we just keep it. We get you, and Kimberly says, just take your time. That's it.
Just
Just
take
take
your
your time.
time.
As we
As
say,
we say in church, take your time,
that's
baby.
it. That is it. Oh, and send I think I can't. Is it Donna?
Darnaro. Hey, you
No,
know what?
okay,
I couldn't see the comments before. I see the
okay.
comments. Hey,
Yes,
Darnaro.
yes,
Let me tell
yes.
you something. Every time I ever went live, Darnaro was the first person in the building.
Oh my God. Well, Darnella. Yes. So that there you go. She says, "Yeah, I missed that. I missed that." So one of the things we were then talking about the work that you're doing in the community. We can
Mm-hmm.
own our own media. We can have our
Yeah.
own television
Yeah.
station by YouTube. We can have our own radio by having a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We can do our own magazine. I have a magazine called Speakers Magazine. This is
I love it.
magazine. I've been doing this for about 8 years. We can have a blog, which can really function as your newspaper and all those things. And then people say, "Well, I want to speak. I want to do a TEDx talk." Well, you can rent a hall, put a red carpet down there, and put a red maybe not a red dot,
Mm-hmm.
but you can do your own TEDx talk. I mean, so
Yes, you
the tools
can.
are here. And you can even make a movie. I've heard people say that they've made movie with iPhones. I'm like, well,
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely. And
like,
let me tell you what you call all this. We're in a creator economy. A
yes.
creator economy. Whatever you want to create. And you know the pandemic was terrible in many ways, but it amplified our creativity.
Hmm.
You know, we had to show up in different ways than we were used to showing up.
That's true.
And you know, it we were sitting in the house, we had to do something. You know, a
Yes.
lot of things were born out of that.
Mhm, mhm. I did a whole podcast series called Digital Acceleration, 52
Uh-huh.
weeks roughly. And
Wow.
me and my business partner, we did it. And basically, we just kind of went through like how to understand digital marketing, how to really accelerate your digital presence for 52 weeks. And that we did it every single week. We were always on point. The only time we really stopped was the first Friday after George Floyd was murdered, and then
Mm.
the temperament after that was really different because of the things that were going on, the marches, and his murder was just it just really changed the whole trajectory about a lot of things, which being on the radio, you are the voice of the people. So you're listening to people, you're hearing how people feel, and what they have to call in, they have to tell somebody. So
Mm-hmm.
tell us some of those things, I guess you would say, over time where you have learned from people calling into the radio station, or just really you're being, especially black radio, being like their voice? What are some of the
Mm.
changes that you saw from being, that person that's on the radio every day? People relate to you. People probably confide in you.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? That's a really good question because it makes me feel like a very grown, seasoned person. Because I think about day one in radio, and it was a lot of that back in the day when people used to actually call the radio station.
Yeah.
And I used to be on overnight. We certain people would call and we just chat. They'd keep me awake because you had to actually be in the radio station all
Right.
night.
Right.
So that part has not changed. You have people who are part of your community. Again, Darnaro and Kimberly, I know them by name. Kimberly was one of my students when I used to teach. I had the same kind of thing that you did. It was just like a digital creators course.
Mhm.
Um, and these are folks that I know as a part of my family.
Mhm.
So yeah, you get to exchange emotions. How do you feel about this?
Mhm.
I had to learn to be very good on how I asked questions. I had something we did on the radio when I did afternoons. When I worked with the great Elroy Smith, he turned me into an afternoon personality,
Mhm.
and we had something called the happy hour. So I had to develop it, and I had to ask questions the right way if I wanted to get good answers.
Mhm.
So it's all in how you ask, how you receive, and you get to feel your way into these things. I'm speaking to not thousands of people. How do you feel? You're speaking to thousands. I'm not speaking to thousands of people. I'm speaking to you. So you
Mhm.
see how I look right in the camera?
Mhm.
I'm speaking to
Mhm.
you.
Mhm.
I had a I had a few phrases. I'm from again, New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm from the South. So honey bun, hey sweetie, hey baby, hey honey, how you doing today? You want these conversations to sound personal.
Authentic.
It's
Mhm.
personal. So I take pride in that folks trust me enough to say how they feel or to share their daily joy or to share their frustrations or share about how they feel about what's going on in the world.
Mhm.
Um, it's quite the honor.
One of my favorite things that I like, that I guess they call it citizens journalism now or whatever
Mm-hmm.
they call it, but the man on the street. So the man on the
Yes.
street type of interviews are my favorite. I probably
Mm-hmm.
watch a lot of them online, but I think there was one that went kind of and we're kind of like part of the age where I think her name is Deborah, but the man walked up to her and says, "How do you define confidence?"
Mm.
or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "I'm just who I am." I think she was north of 60. They said, "How old are you?" She says 60. She says, I don't feel bad about it. She says, "I am
Oh,
who I am." And
right.
it went viral. And she has this whole now, because that little clip, man on the street, he walks around all the time. And I think it's called Confidence Something Another. And
Right.
he saw her, it went viral. And now she has like a hair care product. She's doing like fashion
Love it.
styling.
Love
She's
it.
doing all these things because people are like, "You are so confident. You're so beautiful." And she's like a retired dentist, I think, or something like that. I can't think of her name. But that was one of the things that man on the street interviews, and anybody can do that. So basically, you have your phone, you
Mm-hmm.
plug in a microphone, or you can have
Yeah.
a lapel or whatever, and you could do man on the street interviews about whatever topic. And his happened to be like, how do you define confidence? What makes you confident? And that was the thing. So whatever topic you have, it's not just, you don't even have to stay in this, in the
Mm-hmm.
little box, in the bubble. You can
No.
go on the street and be the man on the street and say, "Hey, I'd like to, I'm doing an interview with man on the street. The question of today is," and those are
Yeah.
my favorite things to do. And you could do that for organizations, especially for nonprofit organizations that are
It's
trying to get a point
limitless.
across. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can, and that is it's a blessing and a curse for me. I got a touch of ADHD. So the thing is like there's always a million ideas in there. So I don't know.
Hmm.
The simplest thing for me is to have a conversation because sometimes it's like, hey, invent something and make a button for people to click. And it's like, no, sometimes you have to have the conversation. Well, tell me how I can serve you. What do you need? And then we
Hmm.
create something great out of that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so the tools again, they just amplify. And if you can show up and show up confidently, that's my favorite word, confidently. And I want to go back to something you said at the beginning. You said, "Oh, you have a gift." But there's so many things in it to develop. Just having a voice never made anybody a great radio personality. You know what I mean?
You got to have
The
the
voice the
tenacity.
Yeah, the voice is one thing, but there are skills you pick up along the way. So you can totally be an introvert. You can totally be a person who doesn't like being on camera and show up on camera. So, or you can show up vocally. There's so many ways to do it that fit, how you feel comfortable or how you want to present. Um, so it's something that, oh, no, no, I'm not good at that. I don't like the way I look. You can learn to like the way you look, or just
Put on a
maybe,
wig.
right. What you think this is? So,
I mean, I had to tell that to somebody the other day. They were like, "I don't want to take pictures if my hair isn't right." I was like, "Girl, get a wig." Like, what are you
keep
doing?
the hair ready at all
Yes,
times.
at all
Okay?
times. I'm like,
Keep
that's
the
not
hair
cool
ready.
anymore. Yeah,
Okay,
it's
this is
just
this
like,
is free game we're giving you. So yeah, you can learn it. And I think, we were talking about like Gen X women, boomer women. It's a thing that we got implanted with, like, oh, you're either good at it or you're not good at it. No, you can get good at
good at it.
anything.
That's true
Trust
with
me.
practice.
Trust me, you can get good at anything. I was not very good at the beginning, and you just get comfortable. You just get
Mhm.
comfortable. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Kimberly is so
Yeah,
awesome.
she says I go live more often, and that's one of the things too. People, if you do it, and I'll give you a good example. My daughter, who is an introvert,
Mm.
she just really doesn't like doing a whole lot of stuff in front. When she was younger, I was trying to push her to do all. She was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be in nobody's pageant. I don't want to do none of that stuff. So now, because I was like, "You could be in the pageant." She's like, That's the worst thing I want to do. I don't want to be a pageant queen." So now she's on TikTok every day, and really, she just opens up her phone, and every day she's like, it's like a comic kind of a thing. Sometimes on the butt of her jokes, but she's getting better over time. So I looked at it one time; she had like 5,000 views. I'm like, on that little stuff, but she's doing it every single day,
That's it.
and
That's the
it's
magic. That's it.
yes, yes, and so it's like, I don't know where she's going with it. She's, like, almost 30, but it's like, so at this point in time, from someone who didn't wanna ever get on TikTok to someone who's on there every single day. She's in her car, she's laying on the couch, whatever, and she's just giving, like, her life views on, like, "Have you ever thought about bada, bada, bada?" And just off the top of her head, getting better with her content. So now I see
Mm-hmm.
the content, and people are just really expecting, what does Aubrey have to say now? What is she talking about now? She says, "Why do people movie shame people? If I haven't seen that movie, don't movie shame me just because I haven't seen
So
that
many
movie."
things.
I was like, "You're right. We
I,
shouldn't
I
movie
love
shame
that.
people."
I love that. I love how we've moved to this thing where, and I really like that. I like that radio is not a big crazy thing anymore that some people get to do. We all get to do it. We all
Yeah.
get to have conversations with each other. There's
Mhm.
always someone to talk to. Like if your daughter's doing it, she is that motivation for somebody that day. Or that
Right.
person that says, you know what, I haven't thought of that. Thank you for saying it. We get a
Mhm.
glimpse into each other's lives. Of course, you don't want to get carried away with it, but at the
Right.
same time, you get to see yourself somewhere. And we're
Mhm.
no longer isolated about anything, thinking we're the only one. It's
Yes.
never the case that you're the only one.
That's true.
So,
That's true. So
a
she'll
lot of
just
folks
say
have a.
those things that
Mm-hmm.
other people are thinking. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, there's a type of grocery store called Aldi or Aldi,
Aldi,
and you
uh-huh.
have to put in a quarter in order to get a buggy. So she said one time a woman was coming to her and she was like, "Oh, I'll take your buggy." And she said she was thinking to herself, "I don't want to be that person that asks for the quarter because I don't usually carry quarters, but I do need my quarter back because that's the quarter that I use for my shopping cart in my car." And she said the
Wow.
woman gave her the cord. She says, "Oh, that's okay." And they got so many views because people were like, "Yeah," people's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give you this buggy, but give me my quarter."
Give me
It's
my
like
money.
I don't want to be petty about it, but I don't carry. I have plastic. I carry debit cards. I don't have a quarter. So anyway, that was just like one of those things. Like, oh,
It's a
okay.
real
So we
life
need.
thing. It's a
It's
real
a
life
real.
thing.
It's a real life thing, and we just have to give slices of life about the businesses. The business is not just a business, but the business can develop a personality. And that's what the
Mm-hmm.
content does, and what you do. You help people develop a personality for that business, for that bit nonprofit, for the work that they do, just really so that people can connect to it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the main things that people need to connect. They need to trust. How do you trust
Yeah.
somebody if you don't go live?
Right. And so back to Kimberly Bailey, who's, in our comments, she says, thanks to Nikki, I go live more often. So I worked with a group of women a couple of years back, and it was so quick. Kimberly and who else was it? Was it Crystal? They jumped on, they took to it like a fish in water. They had
Mm,
produced their own shows. I said, hey, do this, do this, do this. And the next thing I know, they were producing and talking for hours live on the internet. So I think most of us want that. They We want to be in the spotlight somehow. But
mhm,
for some
mhm,
odd reason, somebody's convinced us that it's not safe. No, it's safe. It's safe. You can be in the comfort of your home. This
mhm.
little corner of my place here, this is like, hey, when I talk to folks, I'm going to sit right here. I'm going to produce this thing that I want. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to give it some structure. I'm going to give folks, some kind of call to action to join me. And
Yes.
I'm going to build this excitement.
Mhm.
My problem is always that I have too many ideas, and it's like, Nikki, just pick one. Nikki, just pick one. So, I like to be that fire for people,
Yeah.
because I feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me. Sometimes I'm out and about, and I'm sitting there being a nerd reading a book, and it'll be like, Nikki. Then it's like, hey. Then I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta find my extrovert and just kind of jump into it.
Yeah, yeah. So what is it that the thing? Are you going to do more live workshops now? Are you
Mm-hmm.
doing what are you planning next? You want to, you're the community relations, that's perfect for you. Community relations manager for
Mm-hmm.
a nonprofit. You want to tell us a little bit about what that organization does?
Well, it's Oak Stop. It is actually a co-working and event space in
Ah,
downtown Oakland. So
okay.
it's black owned. We've got 4 locations. Oak Stop has been around for 10 plus years, and it's always
Wow.
been one of those places that I loved. Shout out to Trevor and the whole team at Oak Stop.
Yeah.
So when I like transitioned back to the Bay, because I was out of the Bay for a little while and I came back, I was very happy that they welcomed me with open arms.
I love
And
that.
yeah, so I
They've
figured it
been
would be
around
a great place to network with folks, and it is.
in
So
the good space.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so for me, I certainly love to host events. I love to
Mhm.
teach other people how to be a creator in the creator economy.
Yeah.
And I am relaunching my YouTube channel. So I know we're live on my YouTube, but at the same time, I'm bringing some new things in because I really want to create some very tight empowerment programming.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and thinking about it, because I love the off the cuff, the non polished, I'm just going to pop on and go live. But I really just want to produce something that's slick, but not too slick.
Yeah. Yeah. It can't be too
And
slick 'cause then people
yeah,
don't
not
trust
too
it.
slick, not too slick.
Yeah.
I still want that community vibe, but at the same time, it's like this is a real, it's a creative media company
Yeah.
where where I create things. Remember back in the day we used to wait to be discovered? I know it, all the grown women know it, and you wait to be discovered by somebody else.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
why I love the words creator economy. It's like, no, 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 I ain't gonna wait for nobody to discover nothing. I'm going to discover it inside myself, and I'm going to bring it to folks. So I
Bring
love
it.
that I can watch people do it. And when I decide to jump in, I can go ahead and I can teach other people. So I do love to teach people about all these tools and how you use them,
Mhm.
and the camera confidence that you need to show up,
That
because I
part.
know you've got something in there. I know you do. I know
That's
you
a
do.
big thing. Yeah. Camera confidence is really big. I had a client that didn't want to be on the camera at all. I mean, she
Mm.
was north of 60. She had retired, had been 40 years working in nonprofit, and she was like, "I don't wanna get on Facebook, I don't wanna do it." And now she's like the TikTok queen, okay? She's just like she's a TikTok, she learned the camera, she loves the camera, she eats the camera, okay? It's like, this is one of the
Isn't that
things, like
something?
That's it was something in her. Now, I did have her go into a pageant. She didn't wanna do a pageant, but I
Mm,
there's something about being in a pageant allows you to just free yourself of all this junk that you think people are gonna say. Well, just go out there and just let them judge you. You know, it's you're gonna be okay. Well, and she ended up winning, so she ended up
isn't that
winning because
something?
we're just so much in our head, like what people think. I was like, just let them think it. You are gonna go out there, and it was really the turning point of her confidence to get on camera,
Right,
and it
right.
was a platform. I said, "Pageants are because you have a message, you have a platform, so this is the way you can make the pivot." Because what was happening is that people were always going to her for what she used to do, but she says, "I wanna do something else," and that was that bridge. And then she started writing books and all that kind of stuff, but it is one of the things you do have to be confident. You have to have camera confidence, and it just takes practice and a guide, someone like you. So I like the fact that you're doing workshops in this event space, doing all the things, teaching people how to own the media, be their own creator, do their own
Mm-hmm.
digital content. Because this is it's all it's we're it's going to get more. I mean, AI is making so that people can do their own kind of things, but I still think you need to show up live because you say, "Well, I can just do AI and I don't have to show up." Nah, I think you won't. People need to trust you. You don't need to have an AI robot
Well,
doing
no,
your.
no, no. Yeah. And we don't even have to have AI. AI, chat GPT, et cetera, helps tremendously when it's time to, create your scripts or unravel your thoughts and things like that. But yeah, people know the difference between a real person
Yeah.
and the other option, like say we're on live right now, you can always record and then, schedule it as an instant premiere.
Yeah.
So it can be live, or it could be live. And radio. This is a little radio. Radio's not live anymore.
Mhm,
It's not
mhm.
live anymore. So,
Yeah.
but you're giving people an experience. I mean, and it doesn't make a big difference because it's a replay. You might be watching this live with us. You might be watching this as a replay in the future. It will still work for you.
Mhm,
Think about that. When we create a piece of content, you've created an employee that's going to work for you when you're doing
mhm,
other stuff. So,
mhm,
if you apply your business brain to this, again, if you got a product, a service, Kimberly, she like writes poetry and writes books and things like that. You want to
mhm,
create something into a business.
mhm.
That creative spirit, those creative juices will come out, and where you start and where you end up, weeks or months later is going to be somewhere big, beautiful, and different than you ever imagined. So,
Yeah.
and as women past a certain age, we got so much in us that you know what I mean? We pushed it down. We raised our kids. We did these things. We're career lady. There's some stuff in there you don't even, just like you said about the person that you were working with. She
Yeah.
didn't even know it was in there.
She
She
didn't
didn't
know.
even know.
She is every time she opens up the camera, she goes viral with something because of the wisdom that she has. She's 72 now. And so people used to say to her all the time, "Oh my God, you're so vibrant. You're so vibrant." So she's a vibrant life coach.
Let me tell you something, ladies, black women.
We don't crack.
We number one, we are fascinating. Hello. Number one, black don't crack. People want to know what you're doing. People
Mhm.
want your wisdom. They just
Yeah.
want to look at you. They want to
They
hear
do
you
want your
talk.
wisdom. How
There's
resilient
so
you are, how much you've overcome.
and
Yes.
there's so and it doesn't have to be Michelle Obama or Oprah for you to command attention. We do, and it's just a fact. Again, I'm telling stories about my great grandmother many years later. She had seeds in her that she doesn't even know what she did for me because my career started some years after she died. But she said, "Baby, read this paper for me," and I'd have to read it to her like I was on the news. That was our
Mhm.
game we played every day. I would read
Oh
the
my
newspaper,
God.
and today's police reports or this, that, blah, blah, blah. And
Are you
she made me
serious?
go through the whole newspaper and read it to her like I was broadcasting on the news. So
Mm.
I feel like that was something she had in her that she did not get a chance to do. So if you're still
Right.
alive, you're still breathing, that means that there's something in there you can tap in and find out.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I let me tell you, let me share something that I read somewhere. All over the world, This is true for women all over the world, no matter where you are. It's said that women are going to grossly underestimate what they're capable of. Always. Here, you can go to a village in Africa, they're going to underestimate. So, we have to have circles of other women. We have to have coaches, somebody to stretch us,
Mm-hmm. Push
past
us.
what we
Yeah.
think we're capable of. Because society does a number on us and our self esteem and the way we see ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
even though, the high functioning and somebody's got to tell you, no, I see it greater than this. So I told you about Elroy Smith. When I became an afternoon person, I was like, I don't know, Elroy. I've only ever done mornings. I think I'm just a morning person. And he said, I never heard you in the morning. I don't know nothing about you in the morning. I think you're an afternoon person.
And that was it.
That was it. I said, well, I can't argue with that, can I?
Right.
So being on the radio in the afternoon was the most fun I ever had, and it was my show. I ran
Mm-hmm.
I drove the bus, and I would be sweating every day because I'd be in there, everything. So it brought out the best in me, and it was a worthy challenge. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got to stay around those folks that see us with those big bright
Yes.
eyes, and create something great out here on these internet streets.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of a story. Her name is Lovey, and Lovey Adaje, I believe is her
Yeah, yeah,
name.
yeah.
Yes, and she had been writing for many years on her blog, and she
Mm-hmm.
had a nonprofit called the Red Shoe Project, I believe.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And when scandal was around, she would tweet on Twitter, and she was so witty. Her tweets would be retweeted by the scandal, right? Olivia Pope and the crew, right? Because they were just so hilariously funny. And
Oh,
every
I
time
was a
we,
fan at that time. Yeah.
yes, and Lovey leveraged that tweets, and people start really, well, who is this lady? You know, that Olivia Pope and the crew are retweeting her tweets because so her first book was called "I'm Judging You."
I'm judging you. Oh, yes, honey. She used to do the scandal recap, and the
Yes,
recap was better
with
than the episode.
yes, let me tell you. And then she leveraged that. She talked about it, and the book became a New York Times bestseller. And
Oh,
I think
she's
she's on
awesome.
her third one or that kind of. But from the internet, she had been writing maybe 6 years before that on her
Mm-hmm.
blog. She has some kind of notoriety on her blog. But
Mm-hmm.
when Twitter, she started really honing in on that, and it was in real time that she would put the comments in there because I would follow her, and then eventually she became like this. She got a book deal.
I
She just
love
got a
it.
book deal. I'm
Look at
judging
that.
you.
I
Mhm.
know so
Mhm.
many people who said the right thing one day, went viral,
Yes.
and spun into something. I many, and it just, regular everyday folks.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
you never know what God's algorithm has for you.
Forget Facebook, it's God's algorithm. That's it. That's it.
All
You
of it
just
is. You never know. You might be in front of somebody that could change your whole life.
just stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's
Just
right. Keep
keep
the
doing what
wig
you
ready. Keep the lip
keep
gloss on. Smile
just
when the
keep
camera, when the little, light thing comes on, and smile
yes,
and just go for it.
that is
Go
it.
for it.
One of my
And go ahead. Go ahead.
one of my favorite movies was it Broadcast News? I think where the man was on was he was it's a movie where he was on the air and he was sweating so much it was like buckets of sweat was coming off of him. I was like, "Whoo, I can
Mm-hmm.
feel that." This was probably during the time I was in college. I was like, "You know what? See, that's why I don't wanna be an anchor. That's why I don't wanna be an anchor." It was just kinda like one of those things I said, "I can do behind the scenes and really do PR and that kind of thing."
That,
So, yeah. So that's kinda like the thing. Well, Nikki,
wow.
I just thank you so much for joining us today. And I want people to go to Nikki Thomas TV,
Mm-hmm.
look you up. You can assist them with content creation and really the thing that you said too about confidence as well. So tell them a little
Yeah.
bit more about what it is.
What it say that
Yeah,
again?
tell them a little bit more about what your programs are.
Oh, I have empowerment program on Nikki Thomas TV. That's my YouTube channel. And I have a few things coming up that I would love to have you be a part of. Liberation Lounge Live. That is coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to, announce it officially soon. But that is part of the empowerment programming, because the word liberation, we've been talking about it this whole time. You didn't know it was in there. Bam, there it is. It freed you from something. It healed you from something. So all these things are important. Showing up for yourself, your desires, and your dreams, and having a practice. So I'm certified, and I taught yoga in the community for many years. All these things go hand in hand. If you're going to be like the best version of yourself, you've got to have a practice to bring you back to center.
I love that.
So Liberation Lounge Live is coming up. I have the Creators Launch Pad for the folks who want to. It's like, well, Nikki, I don't know. I want to do this, but tell me about how you use these tools. All of them are easy to use. They're all easy to use. It is not, I'm familiar with StreamYard, so I know just the ready, set, go, speak.com. That's type it in, hit it,
and scroll
and it's going to do the work for you. It's going to scroll for you. So the tools are there. You take your creativity and you plug it into these tools, and honey, listen, it's a go. So I do these things, pretty frequently. And if you're interested, go ahead and reach out. You can follow me on my YouTube channel. That would be awesome. For my folks who haven't subscribed yet, I know Kimberly's in there and Darnaro's probably in there. But share this video with a friend. Tell them about, Dr. Pam and Nikki. Oh my God, look at this. Look at the conversation.
Yeah.
Because this is how we keep it going. This is how we keep the conversation going. It's how we keep each other lit and ignite our creativity amongst ourselves.
And then people will say, well, I want someone to do an intro for my podcast or whatever. They can reach out to you. It's like, here, I'll do an intro for you. This particular intro that I did in the outro was actually my husband, who does voiceovers. So the people heard him doing my thing, and it's like, can he do mine? It's like, people need someone to do their intro or their outro. And that's a little thing that we can do. You can do that as well.
We can do those, or teach you how to do, Canva is amazing.
I love
You
Canva.
can do everything in Canva, including video. I do all my intros in Canva.
I love Canva. That is one of those things. It's like, why didn't I think of Canva? The ladies from Australia. There was a woman that created Canva.
Yes, she did.
She's always improving it too. So with that, we have been a little bit longer, but I knew it would be because we were like vibing like we're friends. But let me know about the other thing that you're going to be doing, and I'm going to introduce you by email to Karen Taylor Bass. It's like I said, it's your East Coast twin on the East Coast, and she'll probably have you on her show. Okay,
I love it. Thank you so much. This has been so amazing.
Good. Yes, it has been. Thank you so much. And thank you all for joining us today for Get Out There, Get Known. And just remember, go to Ready, Set, Go Speak if you want to join a community, or just hit me up at PamPerryPR.com if you would like some publicity. So that's all the things that I do. And I also have Speakers Magazine as well. That is going on 8 years old, speakersmagazine.com.
Okay, where do I get one of those?
Speakersmagazine.com. You could download it for free. Yes,
all right,
yes.
Okay, I'm there.
Yes. So I just thank you. And then I got one more comment over here. She said, oh, okay, thank you, Kimberly. Wonderful
interview.
Thank
you.
She is awesome. I love that. I love that picture too. You can tell she's a creative using that black and white.
She's a beautiful lady.
Everything is in color. So sometimes if you do that little simple thing by putting something in black and white, it stands out. So that's very smart to do. It's very smart to do. It really is. So thank you so much. You just energized me. I know you're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast here on East Coast time, but you energized me, and I got to figure out how I got to go to sleep now. Because
this has been wonderful.
Oh, this has been really, really good. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'll talk to you later. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Get Out There and Get Known podcast, brought to you by PamPerryPR.com, where you'll get insider tips on how to build your platform, pitch the media, and promote yourself with confidence. Head over to PamPerryPR.com and get the exclusive video training on the 7 must-have marketing materials you need before you pitch in order to be considered in media places or superstar stages. PamPerryPR.com, where you help you shine like a superstar.